When greed and power meet, the relationship between Kyle Abbott and Audra Charles in The Young and the Restless. A place that contains dramatic love stories, complicated relationships, and dangerous intrigues. One of the recent episodes that has kept audiences glued to the screen is the relationship between Kyle Abbott and Audra Charles. When these two names appear in the same story, there is not only love, but also secrets, intrigues, and decisions that can change their lives. The story begins with the stormy love affair between Kyle and Audra. Kyle Abbott, a family man and a seemingly stable marriage with Summer Newman, suddenly falls into temptation and cannot resist the attraction of Audra. This relationship is not simply a love adventure, it is a profound change in Kyle's life, from a devoted husband to a man lost in the charm of Audra. It is worth noting that, although Kyle tried to resist the temptation, he could not break away. This relationship gradually drove him away from Summer, and Kyle himself could not have expected that Audra's attraction would be so strong. Although the two had wonderful moments together, serious consequences were inevitable. It can be affirmed that there are three main reasons why Kyle and Audra could not resist each other, and each reason has a story behind it. First is the undeniable attraction of Audra. Audra Charles is a smart, charming, and powerful woman. She knows how to attract people around her into her net, and Kyle is one of those who cannot escape. Although he loves Summer, the relationship with Audra brings a new, challenging and attractive feeling that Kyle cannot refuse. Second is the weakness in Kyle's heart. Although he is a strong man, it is undeniable that Kyle once had difficulty controlling his emotions and himself. With the appearance of Audra, these weaknesses were clearly exposed. Audra knew how to exploit this fragility and turn it into a powerful weapon in her hands. Third, there was the deception and falsehood in Kyle's life. While he always tried to maintain the image of a loyal man and a good husband, Kyle felt dissatisfied and lacking in his heart. Audra, with her subtlety, realized that and took advantage of this inner conflict to arouse Kyle's uncontrollable desires. But the story does not stop at love and temptation. Behind this love affair is a great conspiracy, masterminded by Victor Newman. Victor, who always seeks control and power, realized that Kyle and Audra's ability to destroy Kyle's relationship with Summer would bring great benefits to him. Therefore, he decided to encourage Audra to carry out a ruthless revenge plan. Victor knew that Audra had the ability to seduce Kyle, and he was willing to offer her a rare opportunity, a leadership position at Newman Enterprises. This was a great opportunity, and Audra could not refuse. Audra's ambition and thirst for power made her agree to carry out Victor's plan, although she was a little hesitant in her heart. Victor saw seducing Kyle back into an affair as a fun game, a way to expose Kyle's true nature and destroy his family's happiness. This approach of Victor made it clear that he not only wanted revenge but also wanted to prove his power and control over everyone around him, including his son. Although Victor was putting Audra in a difficult position, she was not interested in seducing Kyle. Audra seems unwilling to be Victor's tool in this power game, and she almost decides to give up when Victor implies that she needs to lure Kyle back. However, she also realizes that the opportunity Victor offers cannot be easily ignored. What is important here is the conflict in Audra's mind. She understands that if she follows Victor's request, she will have a bright future at Newman Enterprises, but in return, she will have to trade her conscience and faith in herself. The question is whether Audra will truly believe in Victor and follow his expectations, or will she find a way to retain her freedom and faith in herself? The relationship between Kyle and Audra is not only a sexual adventure, but also a psychological battlefield. While Kyle is slowly losing himself, Audra is also facing difficult decisions about morality and loyalty. Their lives could change forever, and no one can predict what will happen. With Victor's arrangement, the future of all three people, Kyle, Audra, and Victor, will become more complicated than ever. Can Audra escape Victor's control, or will she be caught up in his ambitious plot? And can Kyle save his marriage, or will he face a life of regret? This story is still ongoing and full of surprises. All viewers can do is sit back and wait, and hope that there will be an ending they expect. The complicated relationship between Kyle Abbott and Audra Charles on The Young and the Restless, and the complex and surprising world of The Young and the Restless, it's no surprise that strong relationships are tested by outside factors. However, the relationship between Kyle Abbott and Audra Charles creates a particularly compelling and tense one. Built through emotional storms, they are not only caught up in a romantic affair but also encounter huge challenges from power struggles, uncontrollable temptations, and unforeseen consequences. Their meeting is not only a sexual wave but also a major test of their relationships and beliefs. The relationship between Kyle and Audra begins with an irresistible attraction. Kyle, who has a full life and a stable relationship with Summer Newman, is drawn into the world of Audra, a charming woman. Charming, intelligent, and mysterious. Audra, although she did not fully intend it, could not deny that Kyle's attraction to her was very strong. She knew that, although she did not always want to admit it, she could not control the attraction. However, what is interesting in this story is that, although Audra is trying to resist all the temptations, she cannot help but keep coming back to Kyle. Audra's determination is initially strong, but when she is in front of Kyle, her reason and stance begin to waver. Sometimes, in moments of weakness, she cannot completely cut off the relationship with him. This is when the attraction and temptation flare up strongly, leading to an emotional encounter. The relationship between Kyle and Audra is not simply about sexual attraction. It is also a combination of deeper factors and things that both cannot resist. Here are 3 main reasons why their relationship could have serious consequences for both of them. First, their contrasting personalities and motivations. Kyle, although seemingly a steadfast and loyal man, is conflicted inside. His curiosity about new temptations, coupled with his feelings of inadequacy in his relationship, makes it easy for him to fall into a spiral of sexual attraction with Audra. On the other hand, Audra is strong, ambitious, and always knows how to get what she wants. The contrast between Kyle, a man who feels trapped in his family life, and Audra, a free, sexy, and ambitious woman, is what fuels the attraction between the two. Second, there is a strong emotional and physical compatibility. Kyle and Audra are not only physically attracted to each other, but also have a deep emotional connection. They understand each other in a way that no one else can. Each time they meet, they realize that their connection is not just sexual, but also deep conversations where they can understand each other's feelings. This relationship makes both of them feel heard and appreciated, something that they lack in other relationships. Third, is the lack of love in other relationships. Kyle is feeling emotionally deprived in his marriage to Summer. He feels that he is not understood and does not have a real connection with Summer, and this is a weakness that Audra can exploit. Meanwhile, Audra is also not completely satisfied with her life. She wants something more, and approaching Kyle, a man in a dead-end relationship, gives her a sense of emotional satisfaction and conquest. As Kyle and Audra's relationship grows stronger, the consequences begin to emerge. In particular, when the relationship is discovered, Kyle will face difficult choices regarding family and love. This time, his relationship with Summer may be more seriously threatened than before. But not only that, Kyle's feelings for Audra may also put him in another dangerous situation, his relationship with Claire. Kyle, while facing broken relationships, may realize that Audra's attraction is not a joke and that he has lost something precious. However, as Audra continues to attract him, Kyle may end up hurting the people he loves, especially Claire. The relationship with Claire will face serious challenges, as Kyle cannot decide whether he can continue to love Claire completely, when his heart is still drawn to Audra. Kyle and Audra relationship predictions. With a mix of sex, emotion, and complex psychology, Kyle and Audra's relationship will be more than just a simple affair. It's a story of irresistible attraction, of temptations that both can't overcome, and of the important decisions they'll have to make in the future. Will Kyle and Audra be able to overcome these challenges and maintain their conflicted relationship? Or will they be the ones to suffer the painful consequences, not only emotionally but also in terms of the loss of family and friends? The answer will surely be revealed in the upcoming episodes of The Young and the Restless, but one thing is for sure, Kyle and Audra's relationship will never be a simple story. In the complex world of The Young and the Restless, where unchecked emotions can change the lives of characters, the relationship between Kyle Abbott and Audra Charles has always been one of the dramatic highlights. But their attraction is more than just a result of sexual attraction. It involves family conflicts, power struggles, and difficult decisions that everyone faces in life. Can the two overcome these challenges, or is their relationship simply a roller coaster of risky emotions? Kyle and Claire Newman's relationship is facing a lot of turmoil. Claire, who has always believed in her love for Kyle, now faces fierce opposition from Victor Newman. Victor, as usual, has never accepted change in his family easily, and Claire's entry into Kyle's world makes him uncomfortable. Furthermore, Summer Newman's jealousy adds to the tension. Summer, although seemingly happy with Kyle, cannot hide her jealousy and insecurity at Claire being so close to the man she loves. This situation will certainly not pass easily. With the tension between Victor and Summer, the confrontation between Kyle and Claire will only become more intense. Fierce arguments about loyalty, jealousy, and family intrigue will push their relationship to the brink of collapse. Kyle, although in love with Claire, cannot avoid the pressure from his family and the complicated emotions that Summer is expressing. These factors create a major emotional crisis for him. While Kyle is struggling with his emotional and family issues, Audra Charles is facing equally difficult challenges. Her relationship with Nate Hastings is strained as she is caught up in an uncontrollable situation with Victor Newman. Victor, in his quest to consolidate his power in the family, has pushed Audra to make some arrangements that could have a profound impact on her relationship with Nate. Audra, despite trying to keep a certain distance, is being forced into a difficult situation by Victor's demands. On the other hand, Nate, who is increasingly frustrated and angry about the unstable relationships in his life, will not forgive Audra's decisions easily. Nate's anger may push her away from him, creating a great distance between the two. However, this tension may be the catalyst for Audra to seek comfort from someone else, Kyle. The breakdown of her relationship with Nate will leave Audra feeling lost and seeking intimacy from a man she once shared intimate moments with. Kyle, with his relationship with Claire in trouble, may not hesitate to turn to Audra for comfort. The relationship between Kyle and Audra, despite its tense and conflicting moments, may now become unavoidable. Both are dealing with frustration and feelings of inadequacy in their relationships. While Kyle struggles with family tensions and jealousy from Summer, Audra is dealing with disapproval from Nate and manipulation from Victor. When they look at each other, they will both realize that they are being pushed into situations they cannot control. Emotional conversations and intimate moments can easily lead to a passionate encounter where both find comfort and a sense of understanding. Their relationship is not simply an affair or a lie. In fact, they are both searching for connection in a world full of confusion and complexity. As Kyle's relationship with Claire continues to face major challenges, Audra may become the person he turns to for comfort and insecurity. On the other hand, with Nate's condition worsening, Audra may feel abandoned and frustrated, leading her to seek support from Kyle, who is also suffering from similar feelings. While Kyle and Audra's encounter may bring sweet moments, it will also have serious consequences. If they continue to seek comfort in each other's arms, their relationship will become more than just a sexual adventure. This relationship will push them into a deeper emotional crisis, affecting not only their relationship but also those around them. For Claire in particular, discovering Kyle's betrayal could be a huge shock, shattering her relationship with Kyle. This would not only hurt Claire, but also leave Kyle dealing with regret and guilt. Meanwhile, Audra's betrayal of Nate would send her spiraling into loneliness and despair, as she not only loses Nate's trust but also faces hatred and betrayal within her family. As Kyle and Audra find each other in their weakest moments, the most important question is whether they can escape this relationship without leaving behind dire consequences. Can they make peace with the people they love, or will this relationship just send them into a vicious cycle with no way out? With family conflicts, power struggles, and mixed emotions, Kyle and Audra's relationship is creating inevitable tension. And as the confrontations between Kyle, Claire, and Audra become more intense, emotional encounters will continue to be an integral part of this dramatic story. What will their future hold? Will they be able to maintain their relationships, or will everything be destroyed in this whirlwind of emotions? The story between Kyle, Audra, and those around them will surely continue to be full of surprises and challenges. A love story filled with drama, betrayal, and unpredictable complexities. The relationship between Kyle Abbott and Audra Charles is a prime example of uncontrollable emotions, temptations and betrayals, and life-changing decisions. Although it started out for scheming and strategic reasons, their connection gradually developed into a deep bond that was difficult for both of them to break away from. From a calculated union, this relationship transformed into a strong emotional fire that neither Kyle nor Audra could extinguish. Kyle and Audra's relationship began with less than pure motives. In the context of Kyle's role as a spy for the company, he began a relationship with Audra not only because of physical attraction, but also for the purpose of control and information. At first, this was just a game, a deliberate calculation from Kyle, but no one expected that the close contact and conversations between them would begin to create a deep connection. Audra, who was not easily convinced by anyone's charm, found that she could not resist Kyle's charm. It was not just a physical attraction, but also a spiritual connection that both of them gradually realized over time. This made Kyle begin to doubt whether he could continue to maintain his role as a spy without letting his emotions dominate. Audra also began to find it difficult to keep her distance, even though she did not want to be drawn into this love affair. The temptation was not simply seeking temporary comfort. It was a smoldering fire between both of them, creating an irresistible attraction. If it were simply a physical or sexual temptation, perhaps this relationship would quickly end. However, as their feelings develop, Kyle and Audra's relationship becomes an unstoppable tidal wave. It is inevitable to question whether Kyle and Audra's relationship is truly genuine. When the relationship began, both had reasons other than love for entering it. Kyle wanted to exploit Audra and gain an advantage for the company, while Audra may have simply wanted to maintain some power and control in a world she felt uncertain about. However, the more time they spent together, the more inseparable their bond became. Without sincerity and passion, the relationship would not have lasted. Their true feelings for each other gradually became an important factor in their decision to continue or end it. This became even more apparent when Kyle began to realize that he could no longer maintain the relationship solely for work reasons. The deep conversations, the moments they share together, change everything. What started out as a calculated relationship develops into a genuine emotional adventure, despite the many hardships and challenges that await them. Audra, despite being strong and ambitious, cannot help but feel vulnerable when faced with Kyle. She begins to doubt the feelings she is experiencing and whether this relationship is a deception or something deeper. However, Kyle's actions gradually show her that he cannot escape the feelings they share. The two begin to see each other in a different light, not just as partners in a power game, but as people looking for love and connection in a world full of lies and intrigue. Despite the development of genuine feelings, the relationship between Kyle and Audra cannot avoid serious challenges. Kyle's relationship with Summer Newman, whom he had been involved with, remains a major factor. Summer, with her strong personality and jealousy, is wary of anyone who might influence Kyle. She senses a change in Kyle's actions and attitude, and she can't ignore it. As time goes on, the tension between Kyle and Summer grows, creating an environment where Kyle can't be comfortable with himself. Meanwhile, Audra, despite her difficult relationship with Nate Hastings, continues to feel a strong attraction to Kyle. Her relationship with Nate, already fraught with turmoil and tension, seems to be becoming irreparable. Nate is no longer the one she seeks comfort from, and it is her emotional frustration that drives Audra closer to Kyle. Their empathy and sharing in moments of weakness make them irresistible to each other, and the fire of love burns strong again. Their encounter is no longer simply a test or a revenge. It becomes a battle between emotions and reason, between commitment and desire. With each contact, with each look into each other's eyes, Kyle and Audra realize that they cannot escape what they have built. The fire burning between them cannot be extinguished. Although Kyle and Audra may find comfort in each other's arms, the consequences of this relationship will not only affect themselves but also those around them. Especially Summer and Nate, who are at risk of losing important relationships in their lives. If Kyle and Audra continue on this path, their relationship will not be able to maintain peace and stability for long. Kyle's relationship with Summer may fall apart if she discovers the truth about what is happening between him and Audra. Furthermore, this betrayal could create a serious rift in the Abbott family, as secrets and bad decisions begin to surface. For Audra, her professional and personal relationships,